In October of 2023, Nintendo announced the shutdown of its online services for Super Mario Maker, a game that holds a special space in the hearts of many players. The deadline given was April 8th, 2024. To most players, this was seen as an unfortunate end of an era. But for a special group of players, this was not only seen as a challenge to them, but this was the biggest challenge Mario Maker history had ever faced. This is the story of how players completed every single level in Super Mario Maker. Mario Maker started off as a niche and small community, and not too many people were into it quite yet. Despite that, Maker would boast a prodigious 7 million levels in the year of 2016 alone. This, in combination with the growing popularity of creators such as Ryucard, Dashi Games, and DGR, along with many others, would propel the level count higher and higher each waking day. However, in 2017, a Mario Maker player would start a project that would change Mario Maker's history forever. This player by the name of Jeffy, who was an avid Mario Maker player and a talented musician, was committed to completing every single Maker level from 2015, the year of the game's launch. At this point, there are around 15,000 2015 uncleared levels, and for one player, this task would be simply impossible. On Christmas Day of 2017, Jeffy posted a video called Team 0%, 0 out of 622 level by Randy. In the description of the video it reads, "For anyone who wants to join Team 0%, send a message." As said before, originally the team's main goal was just to complete every single level that was made in the year that the game originally launched in. As the common consensus was, with the level count growing as fast as it was, completely beating Mario Maker would surely be impossible. Little did they know that this little team would one day be the ones to make possible what everyone thought wasn't. This was Team 0%. On December 24th of 2017, Jeffy founded the Team 0% Discord. In this server, every player looking to help complete this gargantuan task would gather to help come up with strategies and bookkeep to keep all completed levels organized. A player by the name of the Dark One, a talented math teacher and programmer, was also prepared to help the team. The Dark One would write a web harvesting program that, when ran, would search the entire Super Mario Maker bookmark page for levels. They kept track of what levels had been beaten and what levels hadn't using a Google spreadsheet. Although not perfect, it would give the 0% team the tools they needed to keep their efforts organized and also pave the way for further advancement in their strategy. During the first few days, until about the New Year's, the server would grow to around 40 players, with players such as Z7, The Beast, and many more gathering to tackle this task. And with the team established, the players were ready to start whittling down levels one by one.
1, 2, 3, 4.
People got to work almost immediately beating levels that were made in 2015. At this point, there were around 15,000 levels that needed to be beaten. At the beginning of 2018, players found that levels that stood the test of time since the launch of Super Mario Maker were nothing to scoff at. Some levels had clear rates of 0 out of 2,000 and higher. And only 2 days into the new year, a course with unseen levels of difficulty was revealed to them. This level, called Wall in Front of the Eye, was brought to the attention of the team by a player by the name of Junko, who originally thought this level was completely impossible. This level starts with a series of precise spin jump bounces off of piranha plants to retrieve a POW block. Once the POW block is retrieved, you can use it to do a wall-less POW jump to get up to a platform. From there, there's a bit of precise platforming that leads into a P-door entry, all this leading to the hardest part of the level, the Trump Flight section. This section involves using the cape power-up to super precisely fly between a 1x1 gap with spikes on both sides. This trick is not only super precise, but if you fail at any point, you'd have to do the whole rest of the level over again, which is already difficult enough. These tricks are hard to do even by today's standards. But back then, before players had the years of experience that we have now, this seemed untouchable. However, despite its extreme difficulty, 30 days later, This level had already been cleared by none other than the extremely well-versed Mario Maker legend, Z7. Z7 had only been playing the level for a few days prior, yet skillfully managed to complete one of the hardest levels of 2015, and possibly one of the hardest levels of all Mario Maker. This was a huge win for Team 0%, and the momentum of clearing levels kept up as the months went by. Players were beating levels left and right, clearing around 50 levels a day, and by the middle of February, only 1 month into the start of Team 0%, over half the levels from 2015 were cleared, leaving around 7,000 levels left in that year. While the team's efficacy with clearing levels was great, the system that they were using to mark off levels that were completed had a fundamental flaw. Remember the Dark Ones program that I mentioned before? Well, it used the Mario Maker bookmark page in order to gather levels. In practice, this is excellent. However, if a level didn't have more than 10 plays, it would not show up on the bookmark page, and so the program would not be able to pick up on those levels, leaving the team with a huge gap in their spreadsheet. Enter Jaku, the CEO of Warp World. He had a great idea. Using a list of every Nintendo ID and scrapping level data from everyone's profiles, all the levels that wouldn't show up on the Mario Maker bookmark site could easily be found. The program Jaku came up with was called makersofmario.com. This site was huge for the 0% team because levels that were once unfindable were now able to be found and added to the list of uncleared levels. As more of the easier levels got cleared, the team began to slow down a bit, only beating around 1,000 levels between March and April. However, the number of people joining the effort to help make Mario Maker history was increasing, and before anyone knew it, on August 13th of 2018, all levels from 2015 were beaten. At this point, now that all the 2015 levels had been beaten, the team slowed down for a bit. At this point, the server was around 300 members, with the majority of players deciding that the task was complete and continuing on to do other things. However, with some players continuing to work on the 30,000 2016 levels that were left, the dream was still alive for the 0% team. Between 2018 and 2020, levels were slowly being whittled down on by the remaining members, and things seemed relatively uneventful until November of 2020, when Nintendo would announce a huge change with Mario Maker. Nintendo announced that on March 31st of 2021, they would end online support for Super Mario Maker, meaning although levels that existed before this date could still be played, no more uploads could be made after that date. This meant a few things for the future of 0%. Maker only had a set amount of levels to be beaten now, since no new levels could be uploaded. Along with announcing the shutdown of the upload feature, Nintendo also announced that the bookmark page would be shut down as well. This meant that the system that the Dark One used to scrape levels from this SMM bookmark page would no longer be a viable option. The spreadsheet that the team would use wouldn't be able to update itself, which would mean the 0% team would take a major blow to its efficiency. At around this time, there were around 50,000 levels left in circulation, and a good chunk of these levels were logged in the spreadsheet thanks to Jaku and the Dark One. But as the team's March 31st deadline came and went, the team entered a land of uncertainty following the shutdown of their main tool for finding levels, and with a 3-year gap in their spreadsheet, things were looking grim for the team. But players would continue and slowly and surely work on available levels. As more people began playing Mario Maker 2 and joining the quest to beat every level made in 2019, a new bot was created to help players mark off levels that they beat straight from the Discord. This bot, called Team 0% Bot, was created by vCrypton, a talented developer, and even though no one knew it at the time, Krypton would play a huge role in furthering the effort against beating every level in Mario Maker 1. It would take 2 years before any updates on the war against Mario Maker. However, in January of 2023, Krypton, who had teamed the Wii U months prior, created a similar program that would rip data directly from Mario Maker servers and allow for them to collect all the missing levels in their spreadsheet. Krypton also added support for Mario Maker and the Team 0% bot, allowing Mario Maker 1 players to also use the bot to mark the levels as clear. Other than a few spreadsheet issues due to date formatting errors in the first few days of the bot being added, this system was ready. From that time, the objective of completing Mario Maker became entirely possible. Now all the team needed was the players to do the job. Although Krypton's bot would find every single Mario Maker level there was, it would do so by manually looking at the thumbnail of each level and checking the clear rate. It was not a fast process by any means, and from the start of the scan in January, it would take about 6 months for it to finish scanning every single level. And on July 22nd of 2023, the bot would finally finish its scan. 32,734. The fact that there was now a finish line in sight lit a fire underneath every single person interested in tackling this huge task. There was work to be done, and players were getting it done. Between July and October, players took down 6,000 levels, and things were looking up for the 0% team, until Nintendo would throw another curveball. This one, a much bigger problem than any of the others the team had ever faced. On October 3rd, 2023, Nintendo announced that they would be fully shutting down their servers for Super Mario Maker 1. The date they gave for this shutdown was April 8th, 2024. This gave the team a roughly 7-month deadline to completely beat the roughly 26,000 Mario Maker levels left. The predicted completion date of the project at this point was August of 2024, a full 4 months after the deadline. And even though this task was seemingly impossible, this was it. It was now or never. And the team knew this because only 7 days after the announcement of the server being shut down, the team took out 1,000 level. If the team continued at this rate, the project could be completed in February. Team members began spreading the word about their goal, and more people than ever began joining the cause to finally complete this game once and for all. The closer the team got to the finish line, the harder the levels got. From extremely tight New Soup Kaizo like this level by Val JP that was beaten by Ness, to this super tedious time attack level with wall jumps that only have a 1-frame window that Fritzev took down. However, no matter how difficult the levels were, the Team 0% was able to take them out. Remember how I mentioned that 2015 had completely fallen by August of 2018? Well, that wasn't necessarily true. They weren't all cleared. Or at least not legitimately. The legendary player Fritzev did a huge search on most of 2015 levels and discovered levels that weren't cleared legitimately. You see, when there's a hack clear or someone has been banned from the game for hacking, their clear times will appear as 999-59999. There were 5 levels that Fritzev found that had hacked clears and still had never been cleared legitimately. And on October of 2023, Fritzev would go in and clear every single one of them. If not for Fritzev's wonderful work, these 5 levels would have been the ones that got away. As Christmas approached, the team ran into a small problem that had the potential to turn huge. During the middle of the month, players started to receive an error code on their Wii U's and would repeatedly have to log in over and over again in order to play Mario Maker. This happened due to an error on Nintendo's part. This small problem made being able to attempt 0% levels a game of RNG, and players were getting discouraged real fast. If this issue persisted, these server issues would have likely bottlenecked the Team 0%'s progress so badly they wouldn't have been able to beat Mario Maker in time. Players continued to have issues until finally, Nintendo did something. On January 11th of 2024, Nintendo brought the Super Mario Maker servers down for maintenance. And sure enough, after the server went up again, the error code was no longer a problem for players. Nintendo had fixed the problem. And now that there were no issues with the servers, the team worked harder and harder and harder. And by the end of January 2024, less than 4,000 levels remained in Super Mario Maker 1. Before we move on with the story, let's talk about how the team dealt with impossible levels and hacked clears. A level could become impossible in 2 different ways. Either its creator used a modded Wii U to illegitimately clear check a level that would otherwise be considered impossible, or the other more common way is through a glitched or exploited level. You see, some older levels contained exploits and glitches that were required to beat the level, However, after Nintendo would patch these glitches out of the game, these specific levels would become completely impossible. This was kind of fixed later in Super Mario Maker 2 by having the game change the version back to previous updates while playing older levels, so that most glitches that were patched out were possible in older levels. Most of them. Though that could be a video in itself, I won't get too deep into that. However, in Mario Maker 1, no such thing existed at the time. The most common glitch that would render levels impossible were phantom jumps, a glitch that we will speak more about later on. The team, after strenuous testing and theory crafting, would try to see if they were possible, and if they weren't, would simply mark levels like this as impossible, and they would be removed from the uncleared list. Most of the time, the team would report a level as being hacked, and Nintendo would promptly delete it. Or, although not encouraged by the team, someone with a hacked Wii U would go in and complete levels that were marked as impossible. There are very few exceptions to this in 0% history, and we're going to talk about one big one. A level called 130-second speedrun caught the attention of the team. This level was originally thought to be completely impossible due to it having the aforementioned phantom jump glitch. However, some players in the server weren't ready to give up so easily. Let's break this level down a bit for you. This level starts simply looking like most other new Soup speedruns in the game. However, as you approach this section here, here's where things get a little bit tricky. First, let me explain phantom jumps. To all Mario Maker veterans out there, you know this, but for my newer viewers, let me explain. After jumping twice, Mario can gain extra height off of his third jump, which is called a triple jump. However, with the technique of phantom jumping, after completing one triple jump, if Mario turns quickly backward, then forward, during the descent of his jump, he can gain extra height again after only doing 2 jumps. As stated before, this glitch was completely removed from the game, making every level that had one completely impossible. Or did it? In this level, the phantom jump is here. Normally, you'd do a triple jump here, complete the inputs for a phantom jump, and then use that height to get over the second muncher. However, this is impossible now. Seemingly the only option here was to do a phantom jump. Enter Norway, another very skilled 0% member who believed this level to be possible. Simply doing a full jump won't get you over this muncher. However, by escorting this shell through the entire first part of the level, which involves very precise movements and awareness, Norway was able to do a shell jump to barely get enough height to get over the muncher and pull off a triple jump to skip this phantom jump, allowing him to successfully cheese the level. Technically, I believe this level has 2 phantom jumps, but thanks to an oversight by the level creator, Norway was able to skip most of the subworld in the level and therefore skip the second phantom jump. The server at the point had around 9,000 members, and the hype around the 0% team was at its peak, with creators such as Riley C and the Beast721 bringing in a lot of viewership to the cause, and players like King Boo taking out one of the hardest levels the team had ever seen called Beast Needle, a super precise endurance run of a level that could have easily been a problem for the 0% team. Each player that I mentioned will have a place in the description, so make sure you go check them out as soon as you're done with this video. Even though the number of players working on the project was only growing, the levels got harder and harder. Only a few players out of the nearly 10,000 0% members had the skill required to continue beating levels. At this point, 2016 was completely beaten, and only 1,000 levels were left. Since 2023, not a single day had gone past without someone beating a level, and between the end of February and the middle of March, 900, 800, 700, 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, and then 100, and then there was 1. This was the most troublesome level Team 0% had left, and only the best players in the world could take it out. Hey, before we get into the final level, but instead of plugging myself, I want to tell you guys real quick about the Krypton. He spent over $11,000 running his program and keeping the database updated. So please, if anything you check out, Go donate to his Ko-Fi, go check him out, support him somehow, because all this Team 0% business, it would just not be possible without him. Thank you. Back to the video. Yamada will be the one to complete The Last Dance, the penultimate level in the quest to complete Mario Maker entirely. After this level was completed, Warsby King made this tweet, quoting that NSMBU had fallen. Although this tweet seemed simple, it caused a bunch of confusion among people trying to follow along with Team 0%'s goal. Many people believe that Mario Maker was completed, even though this was the second to last level. Because Mario Maker 1 was reaching the mainstream at this point, many people who weren't quite familiar with Mario Maker didn't quite understand that this was not a tweet announcing the completion of Mario Maker. It was a tweet announcing the final level from the NSMBU category had been beaten. This, in conjunction with a few notable figures accidentally spreading this misinformation, and for a second, everyone believed that Mario Maker had been beaten. However, there was one final level. This level, called Trimming the Herbs, will be the final challenge, and with only 24 days left before Mario Maker will be shut down for good, players were ready to see it fall. Since the start of 2023, players did not miss a day, and there were no days with 0 clears. That was until Yamada's clear of The Last Dance on March 15th. This showed you how hard this level truly was. Normally, I would break a level down myself, but there are many layers to this level, and that's just quite frankly not what this video is for. If you want to see a breakdown of the level, check out this video made by The Beast breaking down the level section by section. The most important thing to know is that this level was a real problem. Many players could have been great contenders to beat this level. Players like Lowcurb, who had just started practicing the level weeks before, and had just finished completing each section of the level individually in practice. Or like Yoshi, who had gotten past his little bomb ladder section. The Beast, Jank Pickle, and many more were racing to beat this level. However, something was off. Very off. A few players from the community noticed something different about trimming their herbs. It was hard. Perhaps too hard. You see, this level had frame perfect trick after frame perfect trick, and no player at the time was even able to come close to beating the level, let alone in 2017 when the level was uploaded. Ahoyo, who was the level creator, had 2 levels. One was called Trimming the Herbs, and one was called Bomb 5. Let's talk about the latter a second. This level, which had previously been beaten by only 2 players, showed how adept Ahoyo was at bomb tech at the time. However, this level allegedly took 5,000 hours to clear check. His other incredibly hard level, Trimming the Herbs, only took 1 week. This was very suspicious. So the consensus from a few of the top players who were attempting the level was that it was cleared illegitimately somehow. The main problem with this was that TTH had a clear video that had been uploaded to YouTube. So how can a level that had a clear video be cheated? The player Yoshi, who had also believed this level to be cheated, made a series of tweets on why he believed that TTH was not cleared legitimately, most likely using a TAS, which stands for Tool Assisted Speedrun. However, none of these tweets contained the smoking gun that everyone was looking for on how TTH was tasked, and because tasking tools were not yet to become a thing for Mario Maker, the stance that the Team 0% kept was that the level was completed under normal circumstances and was not cheated. Everyone was still on the same page though. Yoshi and the Team 0% as a whole, despite the difference of opinions on the legitimacy of the clear, intended to complete Trimming their Herbs. About a week passed, and players were still fighting tooth and nail to complete TTH. Unfortunately, during this week, someone decided to hack a clear on the level. Despite this, the team was still determined to beat it. However, things would change, and something that no one expected to happen, happened. On March 22nd of 2024, Ahoyo, who had been completely radio silent until this point, had something to say. Ahoyo, after a bit of discussion with a few of the team members a day prior, came out with an announcement that would change everything for Team 0%. In a tweet, Ahoyo came forward that TTH and his other level, Bomb 5, were indeed cheated. 3 months before the clearing of Bomb 5, Ahoyo and his friend began to work on a task for Mario Maker. This task used a physical Arduino to control the Wii U controller and a Raspberry Pi microcomputer to somehow play back inputs to control Mario. This task fell out of sync very easily and was very rickety. However, it was able to stay together long enough to complete Bomb 5 and ultimately trimming the herbs, making The Last Dance truly the last level. These levels that Ahoyo made were created to test this task tool that they were developing, and somehow TTH, which was the less popular level out of the 2 levels that he had made, flew under the radar for long enough to become the final level in Mario Maker 1. This was a bittersweet day for the team, as Mario Maker had fallen completely. But for some, the satisfaction had been stolen by the fact of TTH being cleared illegitimately. The players who had been fighting since the beginning to complete Mario Maker felt like they had been slapped in the face by the fact that the level that they had been racing to beat had been nothing but a test level that wasn't even completed by a real human in the first place. However, Mario Maker had been beaten, and this shouldn't discount the effort made by every single player who was willing to take the time to support the goal of completing all levels. This gargantuan task by no means should have been possible. And yet Mario Maker players had done it, and if not for people like Jeffy, the Dark One, Krypton and Pie Guy, Jaku, Snoozbuster, Norway, Z7, Fritzif, King Boo, Riley, Yoshi, the Beast, and of course Yamada, among many more players, Mario Maker would have never achieved 100%. Thank you so much to you guys for giving a game that's been so special to me and many others such a perfect send-off. You guys deserve the world. As for trimming the herbs, as of the upload of this video, players like Jink Pickle and Sanix still plan on trying to beat this level. As said before, players like Little Curb have already beaten each segment individually, so it's obviously possible. And there's a huge bounty on it, including a herb trimmer? Yeah, there's no telling who's gonna beat this level. And many other players are getting closer and closer each day. Maybe you can join the battle. And players still have 5 years to catch up on with Super Mario Maker 2. But as for this chapter of Team 0%'s book, it's now closed. And the last dance has finally been danced. Hey, thanks for watching. This video took over 90 hours to make, so if you liked it, please subscribe. And here's some more of my videos, just in case you like Nintendo video essays. Thank you, and see you next time.
Anybody's bought some butter, but she says the butter's bitter.